Hi, and welcome to the Home Video Emporium. I'm your host, my name is Brendan, and with this series what I hope to do is to catalog my entire collection of home video titles and determine which of these movies still belongs amongst my elite and esteemed collection and needs to be preserved for many years still to come, and which of these movies unfortunately may need to be purged so we can free up a little shelf space here, as I have unfortunately run out of room and I'm still looking to add more titles to the collection. We're hoping by the end here to get rid of about 30 to 50 movies, and if nothing else, this is a great time and excuse to watch some movies we may not have seen in a long time, and hopefully enjoy them all together. Today's episode is 2005's Lady Vengeance, aka Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Director Park Chan-Wook, stars Lee Yang-eung, showing him in sync with Sang Kang-ho and Shin Hae-kun with a Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance reunion there. This is from a company called Panorama. I'm not very familiar with this company. There are various other versions of Lady Vengeance, all of which look better. A lot of them, though, unfortunately, are not Region 1. I believe I had the Tartan Asian Extreme version of this, and then, with the deal, I've moved around several times, and I think that was unfortunately one of the ones that may have gotten lost in the move. But there are, there definitely are several other versions of this one with special features, and they just are not Region 1. There is a Tartan Classics, I believe it's called. There are a few other companies that do also produce this in a Blu-ray and 4K, and it looks like they have done a little bit more with the packaging and with the special features than what I have here. This version here, on the back, it claims it has a bonus DVD, but it does not. There's only one disc in here. So there is no bonus DVD or anything like this. This is just all this is the movie. That's all I got here. But that's more than okay. My history with this movie, despite the fact that it came out in 2005, I was pretty much getting into Park Chan-Wook at that time. I had seen Old Boy, Cut, his Three Extremes movie, as well as Mr. Vengeance. It took me a little bit while, I don't know, maybe a year or two later, 2006, 2007, until I finally got around to watching this. I believe this was a DVD rental, probably, I'm going to say, Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, can't remember which one. I'm going to go Hollywood. I'm going to go Hollywood Video on this one, pretty sure. And I was already a fan, and by that point I was already watching other movies from both Korean directors as well as a lot of other movies that were coming out on the Tartan Asian Extreme. I had started watching not just other Park Chan-Wook, but Bong Joon-ho, Kim Ki-duk, Kim Ji-woon. So I was very much into the Korean New Wave at that point in time, what was being called the famed Korean revenge thriller genre, which was kind of all the rage at this time. And Lady Vengeance, the final one in the trilogy, which I know director Park has said did not intend to be a trilogy at first, but when he started seeing that there were similar themes in the movies, that specifically with Lady Vengeance, a little bit with Old Boy, he was able to continue on with a lot of the themes with revenge, with redemption, that he had been exploring in several of those other movies. My first impression when I first rented this movie was, stylistically this movie is very gorgeous to look at. It's very impressionistic. There's some surrealism in this when Lee Yang-eung has Shoyman Singh. She's got him like in a toy horse or something, and she's dragging him along this this landscape. He's using a lot more avant-garde imagery. He's come a far way from what he did in Mr. Vengeance, which was much more grounded, much more realistic. Also in this, he's still using a lot of that early 2000 CGI for a lot of his transitions, where you'll see almost like a car, like a still image of a CGI, like a clock or something, flip over to kind of use as a wipe, and he'll do that a lot. Also, this may have one of my favorite match cuts, both with Park Chan-Wook and also just in cinema. It's during the scene at the end where Lee Jing-eung's character, I believe is how you pronounce her name, has taken all the parents, and they're watching the videos of the killer, and she's showing them all the evidence. And there's a scene where, in the video they're watching, he pulls the rope where the chair goes. He's pulling the chair legs up from under them, and as it's happening, the grandmother, she falls out of her chair, and it's just this intense match cut, and it's so shocking. Where just simple planning and editing can have so much of an impact. This is what happens when you do plan, you do storyboard. You don't see this a lot today in a lot of mainstream movies, that level of planning and dedication where, simple things can have great impact. Also in that scene where it's just mainly a group of people reacting to the news and planning out how they intend to have their revenge, and if they want to have revenge, and if so, how they're going to do it. No one's really moving around that much. It's just a group of people talking, and he's using things like depth of field, like focus and in focus, and just camera movement. And it's not just kind of willy-nilly. We talked about that with Jackie Chan, Who Am I? And the scenes in the beginning with the sinister man in the boardroom, where he's just kind of, where I thought in that scene he was just kind of moving the camera around on like kind of circular dolly tracks for no real reason. In this scene, he's always doing it so he can frame, either if he wants to frame a character single, he wants to show the relationship with two characters, maybe they're getting closer, maybe they're getting further away, so he's going to do things with depth of field. He may put one character out of focus because maybe they're not listening, maybe they're thinking about something else, they're not listening to the character who's speaking, and all that is it's just all in the camera work, and there's great movement in there. And one thing that I do say a lot about these South Korean directors, who they clearly do, they study their craft quite a bit, is they can make simple scenes such as dialogue scenes very cinematic, where a lot of others can't, just by understanding the power of the scene, who's listening to who talking, how just the dialogue can change the relationship between the characters, how you can get inside a character's head with thought, just by simple things like framing, doing an angle, obviously, depth of field, shallow depth of field, deep depth of field, even lighting. There's another scene where the main character, she's listening to her daughter, and they've got Choi Sink in the middle. He's kind of being the translator, and as the mother is talking, in the background, it's turning red. He's like changing the color temperature as she's talking. So just very, in a lot of ways, these are not, really complicated things. He's doing simple things just to show you how the characters are speaking. And this is the first one where, obviously we talked about an old boy in the previous episode, where the characters, once they get their revenge, they almost have nothing left. And in this one, that is certainly amount of it. The young woman who spent years in jail for a crime she didn't commit, although she did take part of it, unwillingly, but she did take part of it. And then it's also knowing that, because she, took the fall to protect her daughter, that other children suffered as a result. So, it's more of her redemption than it is getting revenge on the man who did it, because she knows that even though he is, the villain, he's the one who did all this action, in some ways she enabled him. So this is, even though it is part of the, Vengeance trilogy, this one is much more about redemption than it is revenge. And at the end, we're wondering whether or not this character, who, all the other characters called kind-hearted, because, in the prison, they thought she was all being very nice to them. She was such a sweetheart, even though she did have her own, you could say nefarious reasons, but she was doing, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. She was being so kind-hearted so that they could repay the favor down the line. And at the end, we're wondering, can she be forgiven for her part in the crimes? And should she have taken action earlier? Should she have done more, even though it was simply just to protect her daughter? And again, if you've seen this, you'll have your own opinion, whether she's a redeemable character or not. And the revenge aspect is kind of almost forgotten about by that point. It's, they've chosen their action. All the characters have done so. They have their kind of almost moment of zen together, where, they have the quiet moment, and they say, when there's a quiet moment, it's like an angel has passed above. And then when, the young man walks into the door of the bakery, he rings, and you hear the bells ring. All the other characters, they just snap up, and it's like they can almost forget what has happened, where, kind-hearted here she still needs to live with her actions. And, it's definitely much, despite the fact that it is much more stylistic, maybe even more so than Old Boy, it's much more about feelings and emotions and about inner turmoil than the other previous two movies in the series. So, anything else? I think that'll do it. All right, so hopefully that was sufficient. And obviously, the disc I have here, it's very basic. It just has the movie. If there is, and down the line, a deluxe edition or anything like that for Lady Vengeance, I definitely would consider getting it. As of now, I do not have any multi-region Blu-ray 4K DVD players. So this is what I have. And, excuse me, obviously if you do have any of the multi-region 2 or whatever, good for you. Hopefully you enjoyed them, and hopefully the special features are well worth it. And perhaps someday down the line, they will release them all in the US here. So, Lady Vengeance, Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Have you seen it? What do you think? How would you rank it in the Park Chan-Wook movies we've seen so far? That's going to wrap us up on today's episode. As we're going to go on, we've still got more Park Chan-Wook to go. Hopefully you guys are going to stay with me. So, until next time, be kind and rewind to each other. And remember, it's not a true home without home video. Thank you. Goodbye.